there, it's Heidi Sawyer. Welcome to this session. This is a review of my winter workshops. Now, so many of you asked me for this information, so what I'm going to do in this session is give you an insight into what it was that everyone discovered during the different sessions. There were 4 different workshops. So what I'm trying to do in this session is give you as much depth as I possibly can in a short period of time, what is a relatively short period of time. Now, this session has been divided into 2 areas. Okay, so the first area is around soul discovery. This is around the 2012 vibration and the ending of the year and beginning into the new era. Okay, and the second part of this session is around the heart center consciousness, which then gives you a deeper insight into how the soul discovery aspect works. Okay, so enjoy, and I hope you gain at least some of the insight into what's going on in terms of the big energy shift and the big energy change, and that you find this session very helpful. Okay, so soul discovery. Now, the soul path is about several different areas. Okay, really what it's about is about solving our karma. It's about expression and learning through relationships, and it's a reunion with the twin flame energy. Now, the twin flame energy doesn't mean that you've got to run around the earth plane looking for your soulmate. It means the twin flame energy from within. Okay, so it's a reuniting of the self within. So solving your karma means what that's about is the law of cause and effect. What types of things have occurred in your life that have created a particular outcome, and learning how to recognize some of those things, so it solves that path sooner rather than later. Okay, because then things can move much faster, and much faster as certainly as far as your soul path is concerned. We're meant to have relationships. Okay, we're meant to have relationships going on around us, whether those are romantic relationships, interactions with family members, friendships, or working scenarios. We are meant to learn through relationships. So the soul path is about learning through relationships, solving your karma, and the reunion with the twin flame within. So the 2012 energy is about the end of the holding of the soul vibration. It's about you learning how to release your potential over and above the personality self. So the personality self, which is, you can refer to that as the ego self, works with the soul rather than against it. At the moment, what we're talking about is an energy of the personality, the ego self, which is permanently trying to battle or fight against the soul vibration. The soul vibration just wants a calm life, quite honestly. What it wants to do is be able to have its full expression in your physical self. Now, what happens is the personality gets a little bit wound up about that, it gets a little bit scared, and it tries to block aspects of the soul growth. So 2012 vibration is about the end of that. It's the end of that little fight going on, and it's about the beginning of something new. So why is that necessary? It's to ensure that the soul's survival happens, that it can continue. It's about the evolutionary process of the soul. It has to grow. If we're not growing, we're dying. Okay, so the soul has to grow, so it has to have some expression through the physicality, and it has to begin to have the soul and the personality working together. It's not a life about you trying to block out the personality and stop it from happening. You know, people tend to think that sometimes that what they're supposed to do is squash the ego, or get rid of it, or bury it, or burn it. Quite frankly, it's not true at all. You're meant to have it where the soul and the personality are working together in tandem with each other. Why? For man to progress and evolve, he must now move beyond the physicality of the emotions and into the deepest understanding of his spirit. Okay, so you've now got to, in order, it's a survival mechanism. This is what the whole end of the world obsession has been about. It's about the end of an old way of doing things and entering a new era. So the ego self, the personality self, has seen this as an end of the world, literally end of the world scenario, because the personality feels threatened. So when the personality feels threatened, it starts to assert its authority in trying to protect things, where it then is trying to stop it from having this perception of death and dying. Okay, so we have to evolve now, we have to move on, we have to move forward. So our spiritual process, how does it work? Okay, so this is to give you a little bit of an insight into how we actually operate, so how the personality operates and how the soul vibration operates. So pure spiritual energy is individualized through the soul before it enters the personality. Now, I'm sure that sounds a little bit too complicated, so I will be showing you in a minute how that works in terms of the tree of life. So I'll give you an idea how that works. So pure spiritual energy is individualized, so it gives you the idea of the individual self, and it happens through the soul before it enters the personality. So the soul kind of dampens things down a little bit so that pure energy doesn't come flooding straight through. Okay, so the soul energy protects the personality from too much undiluted spiritual energy. Now, you may have had some kind of spiritual experience where it felt a little bit, and this hasn't happened for everybody, but certainly it happens for some people, where it seemed like a really big thing that happened, and it was a kind of a big spiritual experience, almost like a big blast of light going through you. That literally is what it was. So what happens is, as your development path moves forward, you find that those experiences tend to dampen down, tend to lessen, not because you're not able to tune into that level anymore, or it was just the one experience, it never happened again. It means that the soul and the personality are working better together, so that it doesn't need to be quite such a blast through. So the soul protects the personality's energy, so the physicality, from too much undiluted spiritual energy. Too much spiritual energy will blow out the personality. Okay, so it will blow it out, literally blow it up. So the soul tempers it down. So the soul energy, the purpose of the soul energy is to temper these things down. So it's kind of the in-between state between the pure spirit self and the physical self. So the personality creates, for instance, the illusion of individuality. Now, why does it do that? It does that so that the lessons of the soul can be experienced through your incarnation. Okay, so what that means is that you are then able to experience yourself as an idea of being individual, because that's how the soul learns, through having its physical expression on the earth plane. Okay, so the soul lessons, these are some of the soul lessons. There's plenty others, but these are just some of the ones that you will be aware of. So joy, truth, peace, beauty, harmony, wonder, these are all kind of expressions that you use when you're wanting to solve something. So for instance, if you say to someone, the thing they really want in life at the moment is, let's say they want a relationship, and you say, well, why do you want a relationship? Well, because I want to experience love. Okay, well, why do you want to experience love? Well, I want to experience the beauty of it. Okay, it's a soul expression. I want to experience the joy of it. Why do you want to discover your soul purpose, your purpose? Well, it's because you want to live your truth. You want to feel at peace. You want to have some kind of harmony. These are all soul expressions. Okay, so what you're actually saying is the depth of you wants to have your soul expression. So as these soul energies flow into the personality, though, so as the soul energies, joy, happiness, peace, all of those kind of things, very strong soul expressions, as they flow into the personality, they become distorted. Okay, so you think, well, what's the purpose of that? What's the reason for that? Well, because the personality needs to distort them. The personality needs to distort them in order to have some kind of element of control. So joy might become anger, or anger may turn to rage. So the depth of the distortion depends on the reliance of the personality. Okay, so what we're talking about now is the 2012 cycle. So the end of the 2012 cycle, 21st December 2012, is about the end of the distortion cycle. Okay, this is why parts of people are panicking, that think it's the end of the world, all this kind of thing, because it's the end of the world of distortion. So we're moving into a new vibration, a new way of thinking. So to bring the soul expression into the personality must first, though, harmonise the distortions. It's got to harmonise aspects of those distortions. And this is what we're going into. This is the change. This is the adjustment that we're needing to now make. So harmonising the distortions. So how do we harmonise them? What do we need to do to harmonise the distortions of the soul energy through the personality? First of all, we go right back to what I said at the beginning. We solve our karma. So we solve the things, the law of cause and effect. Cause and effect doesn't have to be, karma doesn't necessarily refer to past experiences, past lives, all that kind of stuff, which is what people tend to associate it with. It's the law of cause and effect. So we have to think back. So maybe, we're perhaps going through being unwell right now, and let's say we've got something going on, or someone we know has got something going on and they're very unwell, and you think, well, why, what's that about? Well, the cause may well have been several years previously. It could have been 10 years previously, it could have been 20 years previously. Let's say the cause could be an emotional trauma. Okay, so the effect would be the illness, so the illness and what they have now. So resolving the karma is looking to the cause, so taking the mindset back to the cause and resolving the cause, and then it can then seek to help resolve the effect. Okay, so how do we resolve the distortions? We also look at learning from relationships. People in your life who are maybe a complete pain are there for you to learn something from. So rather than you trying to expel and get rid of it, is to learn the lessons, understand what's it about, what are you meant to learn about yourself or the identity of relationships, in order for you to be able to move on from that, for instance, peacefully, or for it to be neutralized. You will know that a relationship scenario is in its place of harmony when it's neutral. Okay, so when something gets to a neutral position, that is your permission within yourself, for instance, to either then move on from it or know that you're not going to recreate that situation again. We seek to unite the twin flame within. So this is how we resolve the distortions. We seek to unite ourselves within. So instead of externalizing things, looking for the blame mentality, looking for, or the victim, which is, oh, this or that has happened in my life because XYZ has occurred, and this is the reason for it, and this is why I must wander around in this pain. We're not meant to be keeping that anymore. We're coming now, absolutely. This is the end of this 2012 vibration. It's the end of suffering. So we're meant to be resolving the victim energy. So how we do that is we seek to unite with the twin flame within, with showing love towards the self. So most importantly, within all of it, we must actively seek to heal the lower conflicts of the astral world. Okay, I will obviously explain what those are. So the lower conflicts of the astral world, what are they? They are, in terms of emotions, it's the undisciplined mind. This is why you must now come to a point of disciplining the mind. It doesn't mean turning yourself off. It means allowing the mind to become more focused. Okay, patterns. What are the conflicts of the astral world? Well, in terms of patterns, it's about the habits that we formulate, that we keep to stay safe within the ego. And you will find that there's an awful lot of patterns that you tend to keep because part of you wants to stay safe within what the ego understands and knows. So something that's different, it might be completely different. It's in one side it's new and exciting, and another it's incredibly frightening for the ego self, the personality self. So what does it do? It seeks to try and keep it the same. So we might call that the saboteur, we might call that the status quo. Okay, so another one is drama. How do we utilize drama? Well, we look towards distractions and addiction. Okay, so dramas tend to be the distraction aspects and addictive types of behaviors and patterns, and it's about us all now beginning to actively solve that. So you will see over the next few years, for instance, and you will already have very much engaged with this part of yourself, but you will see where people have kept distractions and addictive type traits, sort of avoidance tactics, that then starting to become, or needing to become, or having to become more self-responsible, that the body won't take it any longer. You will find that for you as a sensitive, your body cannot take your distractions or any form of addictions any longer. It's not able to hold that energy for you. It's not able to maintain that lower vibration. Okay, so the distractions would be anything that you use as an avoidance tactic. What you will then find, or what you are finding, is that your body won't allow you to do it. Okay, so maybe you used to eat, I don't know, a bucket of sweets on a Sunday if you were feeling a bit anxious about something, and now what happens is your body won't let you do it. You seem to have a rather adverse reaction to it, that kind of stuff. So your body is becoming more sensitized, and that's going to increase because it's pushing us towards resolving the aspects of the astral. I'll obviously explain in a minute what that means. Another area is shame. A big thing that people have going on in their lives, whether they realize it consciously or unconsciously, is shame. Shame is a big thing in the Western world that holds us up, holds us back, and holds us from a true self. Okay, so what it is, it's self-worth issues. Self-worth issues are the bane, really, of most people's lives, especially the sensitive, because we're trying to move things forward. The soul is trying to have its expression, and self-worth issues, shame, for instance, gets in the way. So your soul development is through the reunion of peace and harmony, okay, through the balance of the inner male-female. Before you get completely confused on that, I will show you in a minute as to what that means, okay, the male and female energies. Everybody has a male and female energy within, regardless of your sex, whether you're male or you're female. And what it is it's the balance of what we understand as the yin-yang, the whatever you refer to as the balanced soul. Okay, so the balanced soul, the balanced self. And really what that is the harmonizing of the male and female energies within. So the balance of the inner male and female energy, what it does is it helps to settle an unsettled mind. Okay, so, and move you towards aspects of mind management. So evening out the male and female aspects in terms of the internal world, it allows the mind to go quiet and to go very still. Okay, very still indeed, beautifully still. It also enables you to listen to your inner self and your deepest intuition. Okay, and it also helps you to resolve the shadow, because if you haven't got the male and female energies within having a fight with each other, you will find that your mind is quiet, but also that shows in your external world. So you're able to deal with things a lot more calmly. You're able to find that the soul expression finds it easier to come into your physical reality. Okay, so what is the astral world? What is that about? Well, what it is, it's the connection point between the physical world and the subconscious. So I'm going to show you on here, on this tree of life behind me, what that means. Okay, so it's the connection point. So the connection point, this is you as your physical world. Okay, this is you, the 110 energy down here at the bottom here is you as the physical world. You've got a man here, a picture of a man to kind of symbolize that. Here you've got as a 9 vibration, you've got the subconscious. Okay, so the symbolism for that is the moon. So the moon is something that's intangible. You can't touch it, but it's very powerful. Obviously it has a magnetic influence over our tidal flow and all of that kind of thing. So it has a powerful influence, but we're not able to see it. Okay, so within the self, as you can imagine, that has a powerful influence over your everyday thoughts, your everyday world. Now the astral is straight across here. Okay, so it's a line, if you like, that goes straight across, straight through the 30-second path, and it's the meeting point between here, you as the 110 energy, as the physical, and the subconscious. So it's the point of communication between the two. Now, what I was saying earlier about the male and female energies, this line here, so the 3, 5 and the 8 line is the female line, okay? The 2, 4 and the 7 line, that's the male line. The internal conflict is between the 3 and the 2. So those two energies are in conflict with each other consistently. What you have sat almost in the middle of it, well, not quite in the middle of it, but you do have a crossing point between it, is this energy, okay, which is called, on here it's called the next step challenge energy, but it's also known as the Darth energy. Okay, and the Darth energy is, and you've got the symbolism here of Darth Vader, it gives you a little bit of an idea. Darth Vader, for instance, brings out, you know, he's the baddie, but what he's actually doing is bringing out your strength. So in the Star Wars films, what you actually see is that Darth Vader's influence helps to bring out the strength of the goodies. Okay, so what happens within the self is the challenge aspect brings out the best in you, brings out the strongest experiences, the best, deepest parts of your soul growth. Okay, so this is the point of which, in terms of the astral world and the conflicts, is a very strong aspect that you need to start to focus on right now in terms of the 2012 shift and coming into the 2013 vibration. So this here, the astral, is also, it's a manifestation of emotion. So it's a manifestation of your deepest emotional aspects, okay? So it's the, what I call the big donut in the sky. So it's the big donut in the sky is what we tune into in terms of looking at things on a psychic level. So when you know someone's on, who's on the phone before you picked it up, caller ID kind of thing, you think about someone and then you kind of have a feeling you should contact them, and then you contact them and your feeling was right. What you're doing is you are picking up on the astral energy, which is, as I say, a manifestation of emotion. It is the meeting point on a psychic level. So, and whether that is in terms of, you know, if you're interested in mediumship and the connection point between talking to someone who's passed over, or in dream state, if you had dreams of people who are dear to you, who've passed over, and you felt very close connection with them, what's happened is that you've met them here in terms of the astral connection. As your ability deepens, that then becomes conscious, so you get to be able to experience the astral in a conscious state rather than having to go into a semi-altered state in order for you to be able to recognize it or realize it. Okay, hopefully that kind of makes sense. I'm obviously going through this at lightning speed to be able to give you at least some of the insight as to what the winter workshops were about. Okay, so it's the conflicts of the astral world, for instance, that create perceived blocks. So where you think that things have been blocked, it's the conflict of the astral worlds that have done that. Okay, it leads to the limitations of the ego expressed through the perfectionist. So if you've got a perfectionist type of energy going on that you find difficult to resolve within yourself, or it leads you towards procrastination, all of that, it's a conflict of the astral world. So it's a conflict of the ego self and the emotions. So how do you resolve the lower conflicts? What's that about? Well, the first step to resolving the lower conflicts is to move beyond the karmic influences. So that's recognizing when you need to adjust something. It's also about resolving the undisciplined mind. So recognizing the male and female energies and the male and female balance, that kind of thing. That is, and when you do the male-female balance, this is something that we did in the workshop, but in the workshops, but also it's something that I quite often do with groups. And what I find fascinating, it always happens every single time, is what you get to see is the whole audience will go into a place where their mind has gone so still, they're like that, there's nothing going on, the head is completely quiet, and it may have been the first time it's been quiet in their entire life, or certainly for a long time, and it's a completely unique experience to them. But the male-female balance is something that's very simple. It's very easy to do. It's a very simple meditation process. Very, very, very simple process to be able to do. Yet it's incredibly powerful. What it does is it reduces the mind chatter, stuff, the undisciplined aspect of the mind into a very, very quiet place. Okay, so that you can hear, and you can hear the deeper aspects of yourself. So, as I say, balancing the male and female is a very strong thing that you can do. It's also about resolving the conflicts, is also about harmonizing the shadow. The shadow aspect of yourself is not about something that you're supposed to get rid of. It's something that you're meant to harmonize so that you understand it and you respect it. You're not trying to chase it out of you, because in trying to chase it out of you, you're chasing something into a deeper, darker corner. It's about understanding our shadow as part of who we are. Everything in life has a polarity. For us to understand light, we also have to there has to be dark. Okay, so without dark, we can't understand light. All of those kinds of things. So without sunlight, we can't understand nighttime, because if it was always sunlight, we wouldn't understand nighttime. And if it was always nighttime, we wouldn't understand sunlight. We wouldn't know what it was. So all of these things always have to have some aspect of polarity, and that polarity also exists within the self. So harmonizing the shadow is about resolving the lower conflicts. It's not about getting rid of it. It's also about resolving shame. As I said earlier, one of the big things that big blights of the Western world, for instance, is shame, is carrying aspects of shame, whether it's family shame, protecting the family shame, what others think, all of that, preoccupation with what others think, worrying about what others think, all of that kind of thing can be incredibly destructive and very painful. Okay, so resolving shame means moving through the lower conflicts. This is a quote that I really like, so I'm giving it to you as something to remember. This is by John Bradshaw, who is absolutely great at giving an element of understanding about family shame and shame patterns. Okay, this definitely understanding shame patterns definitely helps you to move through lower conflicts, but it also helps you to resolve aspects of the personality so that the soul can have its full expression. So the quote: "Once we have integrated our shadow, we are ready to expand." Okay, love it. Once we have integrated our shadow, we are ready to expand. This is going absolutely in the direction of saying that the shadow is part of who you are. It's not something to be ashamed of or reject. It's something to understand and to recognize. What you will find as a sensitive is that it's hard work, really, really hard work for you to be able to interact with other people when you are constantly having to negotiate the parts of themselves that they were trying to hide. So, and parts of those selves that they're trying to hide all the time is the shadow. It's much easier for you if they were just open and honest, and you don't mind what their shadow is. If you think about it as a sensitive, you have no care in the world what someone's shadow is. What you really are uncomfortable with is their desire and their obsession with keeping it hidden, because it actually creates a strong grating on your system, because you know something's not right and something's not quite right, and you can't put your finger on it. You're not sure what it is. Where is it? What is it? What is it that they're hiding? And that creates the pressure. It's not the shadow. Okay, I hope that kind of makes sense to you. So, as I say, once we've integrated the shadow, we are ready to expand. John Bradshaw. He's a great person to have a look through things. Have a look at some of his material. You will find it very helpful in resolving any kind of codependent traits. Okay, so what you've got on screen now is the tree of life, which is I've just shown you as an aspect of what's behind me. Okay, so this is obviously you can see it on screen, so it's a little bit more of a close-up. As you can see, in terms of the tree of life, what I've done here is give you my versions of those particular areas, rather than necessarily what you've seen as the Hebrew versions. And the little pictures are there to help you gauge a feel of what they are. The numbers are the life codes. Okay, so my guess is pretty much is that you do know what your life code is. So what you've got as the 3 energy, is the symbolism, it's Mother Nature. Okay, that's what the symbolism is there. The 2 energy, that's the kind of guru type of energy. It gives you an example there. Looks like some fellow as a throwback from the 1970s. You've got Darth there as Darth Vader, so it gives you a view. If you try and think of how Darth is present in your life, you will see it as an energy that takes you through extreme challenge, but that extreme challenge has got you to the depth of who you are today. As you can see, that goes straight down the middle line. So the 110 energy at the top is you as the pure spirit self. Okay, that line straight through the middle is the consciousness line. So as you can see, the 110 energy at the top, the spirit self, if you want to give it the name God or whatever, it gives you an idea as to what that vibration is. If you can see it as an aspect of a spark of light, then you'll have some idea as to what that means. So that spark of light from that 110 energy at the top there has to filter down. It filters through, and as you can see right there in the middle is the 6th vibration. It's the soul vibration. It's the butterfly bursting forth from the chrysalis. It's pushed against something in order to have its full expression in the world. It passes through aspects of the subconscious. So the subconscious is how it builds into, it's the filtering point of the soul and the physical self down as the 110 energy at the bottom there. So as you can see, as I said earlier, which is the pure spark of who you are, comes from the 110 energy at the top, filters through the consciousness, filters through the soul vibration, through the subconscious into the physicality of who you are. Now as it passes through the subconscious, that's where it gathers its distortions. This year, the end of this year's cycle, is about healing those distortions. It's the end of that vibration. So 2013 is a 6th vibration. As you can see, it's right there in the middle. So it's learning about the soul. So you're moving out of the 2012 vibration, or the complete end of a cycle, before we start the descent down into the physicality. Okay. So 2012 is about finishing the healing of separation from the self. Okay, that's what we're doing, is finishing that healing off. So how does that materialize? Well, it means that we move on from insecurity, and what it becomes is security. Okay, we're moving on from specialness into equality. Specialness, seeing things as something special, or separation, is a way of kind of embedding in a person inferiority and superiority type of energy. So we're moving towards things that are equal, so there's an equality energy coming in. We're also moving from the vibration of seeing someone's worth by what they've got, into that people are worthy in terms of who they are and in their character, not by the things that they've collected in life. We're also moving into a vibration, we're moving out of strength of character, as in you've got to be bolshy, you've got to step on people in order to get ahead in life. We're moving out of that vibration and we're moving into balance. Okay, these are the opportunities. It doesn't mean to say that everyone's going to take them, these are the opportunities. So the next energy beyond 2012 is about dedication to purpose. You know, what is my purpose? What is my feeling? What is it that I'm here for? Okay, without resolving the lower vibrations, we cannot reach purpose. Okay, I'm going to say that again because it's really important. Without resolving the lower vibrations, we cannot reach purpose. Purpose is about having moved through the dark night of the soul. Okay, so the dark night of the soul energies, you will find are present within all. Okay, so how does it show? It shows down the central column. You cannot avoid the dark night of the soul energies. You have to pass through them at some point or another. You will find at the 110 energy at the top, there is a crossing point on the 14th path, right between the 13th path that comes straight down the middle, and the 14th, which goes across from the 3 to the 2 vibration. As the energies cross, we have a dark night of the soul. It's just above the Darth vibration. Just below the Darth vibration, we have another one. There's another crossing point between the 5 and the 4 energy, and coming down the 13th path. The 19th path crosses, okay, across the 13th path. another dark night of the soul energy. Then we have the 6 vibration right in the middle, and below that, guess what? We've got another dark night of the soul. The crossing point between the 8 and the 7 vibration, the 27th path, crosses the 25th down into the subconscious. So we can't avoid dark nights of the soul. Now, dark nights of the soul are the ways and means for us to understand who we are and our purpose. Okay, dark night of the soul is the preparation stage, okay, for living the unified self. So that's the integration of the spirit, the soul, and the personality. So we have to pass through these vibrations of the dark night in order for us to understand who we are in terms of our spirit, the soul, and the personality working together. Otherwise, all of those parts feel disconnected and separated. Okay, so if the ego work is not finished, so if it's not finished, if the work within the personality in terms of the ego isn't finished, we are drawn back into it. So we're drawn back into these cycles. Okay, so what we're needing to do absolutely now is work through some of these ego aspects so that we don't get caught in some of the more tricky cycles for the next few years. Okay, this is what this is about.